Welcome back. Today I'll be making a flaky cheese and leek pie from the Balkans. This is Zelnik from North Macedonia. Let's start by mixing our dough. Into the bowl of stand mixer, I'm going in with 500 grams of flour. Let's season that with a couple teaspoons of salt, about 10 grams. A couple teaspoons of sugar for browning. 1 packet or 7 grams of active dry yeast. And a tablespoon of oil. Now let's add 250 milliliters of water and mix that together with our hook attachment. Now this is a very low hydration dough, so it may be tough to mix, but let that come together into a ball, and if it gets rubbery, then let it rest for a little while until it softens up. Even my stand mixer was having trouble with this one, so I ended up turning it out onto my counter and kneading it by hand for a few minutes. Once it's nice and smooth, roll that into a log and divide it into 16 pieces. I only made 8 here, thinking the balls would be too small, but this stuff really stretches thin. Now let's roll those guys in oil. Cover them up and let them rise for an hour. In the meantime, let's work on the filling. I've got 3 leeks that I'm going to chop up. Now leeks are notoriously dirty, so let's rinse those in water a few times until the water runs clear. Now into a saute pan over medium-high heat, let's throw a few glugs of oil. And once it's shimmering, we can add in our leeks. I'll season with a little bit of salt just to pull out some of the water. The feta that we're using will be plenty salty, so no need for any other seasoning. And while those are going, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I've got a new recipe coming out from a different country every week, and it would mean a lot to me. Saute those until they're soft, and then let's remove them out to a bowl. Crack in 2 eggs. Then we can crumble in the feta, about 200 grams. Now to balance out the saltiness of the feta and to create a smoother texture, we're going to add in 150 grams of a creamy cheese. I'm using Ricotta, but you could also use cottage cheese. Mix that all together and we can set it aside while we work on our crust. Now for the fun part, let's press out our dough balls into 2mm thick circles. They should be soft and elastic enough to stretch easily, and the oil should help them grip the counter. Now let's drizzle some melted butter on one round and stack another one on top. We're going to repeat the process for all our pairs to create laminated pastry layers. Now roll out one of the layers as thin as it'll go, making sure it's as large as whatever baking tray you're using. Now as you can see, once rolled out, my sheets were way too big, about twice the size of my tray, but that's totally fine. I just cut it in half and drape the dough inside it. Drizzled some more butter, and layered the second half on top. And don't worry about tears, we got multiple layers to work with here. Now that our bottom crust is assembled, we can add in the filling. Spread the leek and cheese mixture around the bottom of the tray, keeping it fairly thin. I've got enough filling here for 2 pies. Now we can cover this up with more dough. Roll the rest of the circles into thin sheets and layer them on top. Don't worry about wrinkles, since they'll turn into flaky, crispy crust when they're baked. I'd even recommend pinching the dough a little bit to form more folds. Once again, let's drizzle some melted butter on top and cover that up with our final sheet of dough. Now we can trim the excess with a knife or the edge of the tray, and pinch and fold the edge of the crust to seal it. Once you've got your pie looking how you want it, let's throw that into a preheated 200 degrees Celsius oven for 30 minutes until it's golden brown. It's got a flaky, crispy crust, the deep oniony flavor from the leeks, a little bit of salt and creaminess from the cheese, and the eggs bind that all together in a way that almost reminds me of a quiche. You gotta try this one. The dough is basically foolproof. The filling takes all of 10 minutes. I wanna see you guys down in the comments telling me how much you love this one. See you next time. Cheers.